Welcome back in Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. Fred Hubner, Paul Tenorio, Frank Lopez. Nice enough to be joined on the couch by Brendan Vincent from the Chicago Fire. Brendan, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We've been talking in the first segment about the 0-0 draw against Orlando City SC. We gave our reaction. What was your reaction and the team's reaction after the contest?
Yeah, I think echoing what you said, it was frustrating. We felt like we'd come out with more there, especially with the advantage at the end of the game, 2 men up. But also, like you said, it kind of becomes difficult because it's almost like a battle of attrition now because they're sitting in their box and you really have to create a lot to be able to break them down because they know they're not going to be able to get anything going forward, so they're not stretched, they're not pushing the pace. So it's disappointing.
Are you surprised at all that there's been such a harsh reaction to the red card to Rafa Ramos? There are replays that show he does make solid contact with your knee. Any take on the foul now that you've seen it back a few times?
Yeah, I think the TV angle definitely doesn't do it justice. I don't, it wasn't intentional at all. It's a tough spot for the guy to be in as a defender. I feel bad for him, because that's flipped situation that, it's not much you can do because he doesn't see me coming and he's keeping his eye on the ball, and we both are, and we both collide. Got contact, and it's a tough spot.
That's what I was saying, Brandon. I mean, can you assess your performance so far early into the season? Because we saw a player last year and we see a player now, and it's almost been like night and day. Talk a little bit about what has changed in your part and how do you assess how you've done so far early in the young season?
Yeah, I think I've said this before. It's just a combination of a lot of different things. The new guys in the locker room are huge for the mentality of the group, and that trickles down to each individual player. And I think for me specifically, it's been huge because coming to the situation last year wasn't easy mentally, to have that pressure of the team and not doing well, and you take that onto yourself and try to do things that just don't work. And then this next year we got new players that want to win, and that rubs off on the young guys in the locker room that want to do the same thing now and push that boundary. So for me, it's about the mentality of the group and that rubbing off on the guys individually.
Brandon, I feel like whenever we talk about your play, the thing that stands out to me most is you seem so confident on the field. And I look at those early games when Bastian Schweinsteiger first came into the team and how much he was communicating with you. I want you forward here in these moments. And ever since you've kind of feel like you have that green light and you started to recognize, hey, I can be a very effective left back going forward. How much did his presence and his communication with you early on impact how you're playing this year, and how much more confident do you feel this year versus last year when you're on the ball? Yeah,
I agree with you said. It's been huge because not only does he attracts a lot of attention in the middle of the field as it is. That opens up wider parts of the field for guys on the flanks. So just having his presence, first of all, to attract the pressure, and then also having him, like you said, talking to me and trying to get me in confident areas. And that's the thing where I think now I'm playing more off of my instinct instead of, kind of second guessing and doubting if I should go or should stay. So just having that confidence to just play free and go for it.
How much does it, knowing that you can go up the left side, you can go on in the attack, knowing that you're going to get help in the back and the support? We've talked about it a little bit throughout the year, but with McCarty or even Schweinsteiger dropping back in your area to protect that, how much does that allow you to not worry so much about going forward?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. Having guys like Dak, Juninho, Bassi, the whole back line, we cover for each other and keep the field tight is the biggest thing. If we press higher up the field, they're not getting back there. So we can stay up and keep the pressure on them. And then when the guys in front of us keep the pressure on the ball and help us, keep that pressure, just as a group, the whole team can be higher up the pitch. And for me, that means higher up the pitch and, creating more chances.
I wanted to go back because the interesting thing for me, I always, we talk about mentality and confidence. I think two important factors. But what has changed to give you that confidence this year, and how do you prepare from a mental standpoint for games to go in there and then give you the confidence that you need and play the way you've been playing in the beginning of the season?
Yeah, so a lot of it has been just analyzing my own game on film, looking at last year's film and learning from my mistakes and seeing where I could have and should have done better in areas. And then trying to apply that to this year as you get a little more confidence from the first game, the second game, third game, and so on. You see where spots where you're doing well and the spots where you can improve. And I think for me it's been about try to keep pushing those spots that I'm doing well, and then keep pulling with the spots that I'm improving on. So I think it's been a lot easier for me to see that on film and apply it to my game. So.
Yeah, you came into last year, and I don't think the expectations could have been higher on you. You're coming off of a national championship winning team. You are called into U.S. national team camp during the combine and the draft. You're involved in a trade for the #1 pick. You get selected to the All-Star game. Did you feel any pressure from those expectations, and do you feel more settled into yourself as a pro this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as much as you hope that things like that don't affect your play, I think it did. And that's a combination of inexperience and just kind of getting out of my head a little bit, and it's just natural for a young player. And I think coming to the second year, having that behind me and knowing that I just have to perform on the field, that's what matters. It's been a huge kind of clarity for me this year.
Chicago Fire left back Brandon Vincent joining us here on the couch. Chicago Fire Weekly. We come back, we'll talk more, see how he's adjusted to living here in Chicago, and also get you ready for this coming weekend as the Chicago Fire get ready to take on Atlanta United. A 3 o'clock start at Toyota Park. If you can't get out there, it's on Unimas, but get on out if you can. 3 o'clock should be a gorgeous afternoon. We'll come right back after this in Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. Chicago Fire left back Brandon Vincent, nice enough to join us. And, these guys ask you the tough, hard questions. We've got the smartest guy on the couch now because, a Stanford guy. But then I'm looking here at Northwestern. I don't want to get a rumble going between the Northwestern and the Stanford people.
Listen, he's in a different conference. Big Ten, Pac-12, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Exactly.
But, we talk so much about you coming here and playing at Stanford. It's a silly question, but how much does going to Stanford and being rather intelligent help you adjust to a sport like this and to everything you have to that's thrown at you in the first couple of years?
Well, I think what Stanford does a really good job of is training their athletes, and I guess their students, you could say at the same time, is holding themselves to a higher standard, and being mentally tough and knowing that you have to perform no matter what. So I think that translates really well to the professional game, where that's what it's about, is performing, and that's what it is.
Listen, I don't know who the smartest guy is, but we got the best right back at the Fire pitch playing here every Wednesday, whoever wants to see him,
Right.
and then we have one of the best left backs in the league.
Yes.
So I'll leave it at that,
Again, I'm not going to get involved in this controversy. I'll take Brandon takes the cake, I think, on every level. Brandon, you're going to have this week, I think, about the matchup that you have, and it's Tito Villalba, probably one of the fastest players in the league. And when you're a left back in this league now, when you look at the talent at wing, on the wing spots around the league, it's pretty tremendous. How much, being at Stanford, did it help to train against a guy like Jordan Morris day in and day out, who's got the pace, who's got the ability? We've seen him be effective for the Sounders. Did that help you at all, or has it been also, to some extent, a different level going up against guys like Villalba?
Yeah, no, I mean, that definitely, whets your appetite a little bit, training against a guy like Jordan Morris. We've seen what he's done in the league so far. But I think it just depends on your game experience. I know a couple times last year I've gotten burned, and it happens, and you learn from it, especially against pacing wingers. So you know kind of how to play them and what their movements are, and you learn their tendencies as you watch the film and do the scout and all that kind of stuff. And obviously the more we have the ball, the easier it is to not have to defend them. So the more we can get on the ball and the more I can learn players' tendencies, it makes it a lot easier.
Well, to follow up on that real quick, Frank, was there a moment last year that stands out to you where somebody beat you and you go, oh, okay, this is a different level?
Oh, yeah, first game. First game of the season. I played against Kyrie Shelton in college, and I knew he was a fast guy, and that one I just got caught out, and he punished me for it. So learn from him and move on.
Well, I was going to ask him. I was going to ask something else, and I need two questions now because you're taking over the question. So my point is, what's been the biggest adjustment then for you? Coming from, the college level and then playing in the MLS.
Biggest adjustment is being mentally tuned in all the time. At the professional level, you get punished for mistakes a lot more frequently if you make them than at the college level. So staying mentally turned on the whole game and not giving the team an advantage to get at you and capitalize on a mistake that you make has been the biggest difference.
I actually remember the game he's talking about. We saw that first game. And then my follow-up with that, Brandon, is that in your position, I mean, it's different when you're a midfielder or a forward, is that how are you able to deal, with setbacks or mistakes in the game? What's the mentality or the mental toughness that you need to have?
The biggest thing, and one of the things I learned at Stanford as well, and I've heard multiple coaches over my career say it, is next play. And especially being on the back line, if you make a mistake defensively, it's chances are it's a goal or a goal-scoring opportunity. And because you don't get to get as many touches in the final third as other players, when you do make a mistake, it's exaggerated. So I think next play, move on, forget about it, and just focus on the next thing.
Fans and media alike will bring up, earlier you guys met in Atlanta, early red card to Kappelhoff, 9th minute, I think, and a 4-0 final. What is revenge on your mind, or you guys look at it a completely different way, just ways to attack them and forget the fact that they beat you 4-0?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, anytime a team puts 4 past you, you have hold a little bit of a grudge. So that'll definitely be in the mentality of the guys, but the biggest thing is preparing like a normal game and doing the scout, going through the routines and all that kind of stuff.
Brandon, I mean, you talked, Paul said that you might be facing one of the fastest guys this year. You probably watch a lot of tape. I'm sure Pano does a great job of that, just making sure you guys know exactly what to expect. But when you start the game, in the first 10 minutes, are you really assessing the guy you're playing against to see maybe this guy's quicker, he turns this way? Is it the first 10 minutes you're really trying to see crystal clear your opponent?
Yeah, I think so. I think from anytime you get a chance to go against your 1v1 battle early on in the game, you want to be the one to set the tone. Whether it's getting into him strong or shutting him down or making him run backwards because they're getting forward, whatever it is, trying to set that tone so you have that mental edge right from the get-go.
Has anybody in the league, after you've seen him on tape, when you played against him, you said, man, this guy's a lot quicker than what I expected, or he's a lot slower than I expected? Any
I'm trying to think.
surprises?
Josef Martinez I saw him on tape and he's fast, but in person he's very fast as well. So.
One last thing before we let you go. In your free time, and I know you're practicing all the time, you're flying to and from games. In your free time, what is it you like to do around the city?
Oh man, well, like you said, there's a lot of travel and a lot of training, so I do like to sleep. To be honest,
that is a pro athlete answer right there.
Your teammate John Myra said the same thing. He said he likes to sleep when he can.
Napping is a huge thing. I've also picked up cooking because I have to. I have to fend for myself.
This guy's
so.
like the perfect guy. I don't have a daughter, man. I mean, come on, cooking, sleeping.
Yeah.
Listen, when you don't feel like cooking, you just call Frank. He'll take you to Greek islands, and that'll be that.
That sounds
never
good.
A problem. Brandon, thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you for having me.
Chicago Fire left back Brandon Vincent joining us right here on the couch. We come back. We'll take a look at the Chicago Fire, what they can do as they get ready to take on Atlanta United this weekend at Toyota Park. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.